I didn't get the memo that most people were not using a PowerPoint. So I have one because I've got to be a little bit different. So those who don't know me, my name is Brian Borkwin. I am owner and veterinarian at Boston Veterinary Clinic, which is obviously in Boston, Massachusetts. Go Red Sox, we win everything. So we're going to talk about a subject that I think we probably all spend way too much time thinking about, stressing over, and really just getting our panties in a knot. So that is reviews. And we titled this, and Paul helped me with this, so I'm going to say a lot of we's in case you're wondering who else is up here. It's Paul. It's turning ones to fives, making reviews work for you. And so I started as a small mobile practice. I had left corporate America. And when you're a small mobile practice of one and you have 10 clients, you really look at reviews because that really becomes statistically important. And so we probably spent more time on reviews than others had. And as we progressed from the mobile clinic into the stationary clinic, still a very small practice, one of the few that had started just on its own, so we were kind of building clientele. So, we were spending a lot more time thinking about reviews and worrying about reviews and keeping people happy. And so we needed a framework for which to do this within. And for us, we thought it was really important to keep our core values in mind. So whenever we looked at a review or thinking about responding to a review, this is what we kind of used as our framework. Thank you for reminding me. So here are our core values. And so, why do we care about reviews, right? I mean, we all go to these lectures and in conferences, and there's time spent talking about it. Well, for us, we think it's because the client reviews drives the value, and that's why we care. So when thinking about the review, we believe that having an exceptional process for accumulating, processing, anyways, that's the way that we address these. So on our next slide, I would like you to take a look at these and decide which of these you think is important for a client review. Well, obviously it's F, right? Because the answer is always all the above. And that's actually important here as well. So basically these are why client reviews are important. And I've gone to lectures where the opposite is said. Be like, you should concentrate on your medicine. Well, if people don't come to your practice, guess what? It doesn't matter if you're a good doctor or not. And for some of us who are in big cities where there's competition, it's just really important to have a way to make you look better. And you can have the best freaking waiting room in the world. If they don't get in there, they're not going to see it. So that's why really these reviews are important. Well, that's really loud. What we do in our clinic is we actually try to do a little bit of an internal review before we actually get to the review online. And that's called a Net Promoter Score. And that's much more Paul's land than mine. But basically, we send out these questionnaires 2 days after the appointment, and our clientele gives us a score. And it's based on I don't think it can be 0. Well, maybe you can. I wouldn't know. We've never had a 0. 0 to 10, of which anything lower than a 7 is called a detractor. And obviously 9 and 10 are promoters. The interesting thing is this statistic on the bottom, that 80% of your positive words of mouth come from promoters. Yay! But conversely, 80% of your negative word of mouth come from detractors. So the reason why I mention this is our way of trying to even stop it before the bad review happens, okay? So if we get one of these scores back and someone's giving us anything less than a 7, we are on that like white on rice. I almost forgot the analogy there. White on something. So often that means that we can actually stop this before it even starts, okay? So that's kind of being more proactive, but it happens, right? So let's move on. For us, the way that we kind of, our infrastructure for this is we use Pet Desk, which is where we get our NPS scores from. And then we use an app, and I'm not getting paid by these companies, unfortunately, but we use Yext, which is a way that we can control our brand image and a cool way to kind of put all your information out to a bunch of different sites. Because you don't want to have hours in one place, and then you're working on Monday here and not here. Next is Perch. I love Perch. I actually got Perch from someone here from the first year. They had recommended it. And basically, it is a way that lets you spy on your competition. So for us in Boston, there's mainly 4 major clinics that we worry about, and I actually watch their reviews. And interesting little story, the place that I started with, which wherever Mike is, was a bad mentor. I read a review which really just kind of changed my whole way of approaching these as far as a team. They had someone that had taken their dog there, and this was a very old facility, like first dog 15 years, the next dog 15 years, 5s across the board. And then they updated it to a 1. And it wasn't because there was bad medicine. It wasn't because the doctors weren't personable. It was because of the customer service. And yeah, maybe they lost the dog's ashes, which is never good. But it wasn't about that. It was because it wasn't addressed in a way that the client felt that she was being listened to. And so here was someone that had literally 45 years of pet care down the tubes because of poor customer service. Now, this particular facility doesn't pay attention to the reviews. And so because of it, they didn't address that. So, and then lastly, the other places that we can watch is Google, Yelp, Facebook, and we use all of those to get emails to stay on top of things. Okay, so theoretically, we respond to all reviews in 24 hours, but that's why we're here, because we haven't been doing that. But the positive reviews, we address publicly. So yeah, let's go us, and you can spread it across all your platforms. For the more negative reviews, that's where we actually do a search and destroy. We call that our 1 to 5 machine, where basically the first step is we gather the facts, avoid critiquing. This is where you want to talk to everyone who's involved in this particular situation. This day and age, you can pretty much figure out who the review came from, and this is your fact-finding mission. You want to talk to the front desk, you want to talk to the technicians, you want to talk to the doctor, and this is a no judgment zone, okay? We don't want to hear that Mrs. Jones is always cranky. That does not help us. We want to know what happened on that day. Next, we want to understand the emotions on all sides. Everyone's upset, right? I mean, we don't like to be called out. They obviously had a bad hair day, so we need to kind of like look into that and understand that. We want to learn about the client. This is where Paul becomes a stalker slash private eye. He goes on to LinkedIn. He like profiles them. He has a whole idea of what they are and who they are and where they work and where they've worked. And we read the other reviews. Was this an off one for them? Did we really do something bad, or is this just like a jerk who's just going to complain about everything and we were just their latest victim? This one's a little harder for me. Turn off your ego. We do make mistakes. Most likely something was off that day, and I think we can learn from most every single one of these reviews on some level. And then lastly, to be happy and intentional. We don't want to become a Tracy. No, I'm just kidding. But you can get really, really bogged down in these ones, and you forget about the 20 other 5s you have. You're like, oh, I don't understand, and you're looking at it, and you're rereading it, and you're trying to figure it out. Just remember, this whole thing is a commercial for yourself. So when I called Mrs. Jones to find out why she was having a bad hair day, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Dr. B, that's me. Do you have a few minutes to spend? You're never getting them on the phone, so usually this is a message. Always start with an apology. Something did not go right, okay? No matter what happened, they did not have a good experience, right or wrong. And so, always want apology. Now, I will not apologize for the thing, no way, but I will apologize that they didn't have a good experience. I'm gonna listen, ... No, seriously, I mean, you do want to listen. You want to actually listen to what they perceive is not right, okay? Because once again, something happened that they didn't have the best visit they could. And when you go back to your values, you kind of look at that. Were our values being met? Were we putting patient care first? Were we being convenient, or were we forgetting about them because we're all gossiping in the back, or it was pizza day? That's something to look at. You want to find common ground. We've all been made to wait in a doctor's office, right? It's annoying. We all have places to go and things to do. So, say, hey, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel like you've been forgotten in that chair there forever. How could we improve? How do you think we could have handled this situation better? And then the next steps. You want to express value, like this has been a great conversation, thank you for taking the time, I appreciate you. And then we often give them something, because a lot of times this is, some perception of value, so give them some free treats. I had a day where I was super sick, I was coughing my head off because I was going to go to the doctor next, and I got called out for it. So I was like, you know what, yeah, that was a shitty exam. That was a crappy exam. I'm going to do that next exam at no cost. And then follow up with a personal email or note. So, in closing, client reviews drive value, right? So you get new client growth. These reviews are what really has made us the clinic that we are. When we ask people when they come in, why they're coming to us, it's not because I'm a snappy dresser or that, my waiting room is like a spa. It's because of the reviews. They hear other Joe Schmoes and Marys who are they're happy and they're shouting out and they're taking their time to talk to us. And they see the ones that went to 5s, and these are our real shout-outs. This is where Paul has completely blossomed, because we've had people that the fact that we took the time to call them and say, hey, Tracy, why did that happen? How can we make that better next time? They'll come back on and be like, yeah, we thought you sucked, but now we love you. And so you really want to celebrate your 1 to 5s. And this is my little Gretel. So we stole this from someone here last year, but I don't know one way to get 50 new clients, but I know 50 ways to get one. Thank you.